Yeah, thank you for letting me take up some of your time. I'll try to make it as brief as possible, but certainly I'll spend whatever time needed to go over and answer any questions that you have about what's going on in the village here with the new development. We did send out some information prior to the legal information. Hopefully you got that and read it. And but we did hear there were a lot of questions going back to lawyers and to our sales staff and also to resident services. So we thought, let's get together. I haven't seen you guys in a long time in person. COVID kind of put a cramp in that. I think we got to get back to normal life like this is great. And that we get together, talk about it, and get through and make you understand nothing's changed. I do want to mention that Rob Bioko, who's my partner and the vice president here. Oh, first of all, I don't think I even introduced myself, did I? For those of you who haven't met me, I think most of you, I'm Tony DeFrucio. I'm the president of Zest Communities, the same with the village. I always just assume you know me. I feel like I'm part of the family, so I apologize to the newcomers that maybe I have not had the opportunity to meet yet. But Rob, my partner, unfortunately, he was supposed to be here today. This is really his baby. He takes care of everything with the city and the new development. He sends his regrets. He had a family emergency. His nephew is in on life support. So,
nephew.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to put a damper on it, but I thought best you know he didn't skip out on purpose. So. Our thoughts and prayers, and if you could help join in, I appreciate that. Anyway, so let's get back to business here. The Town Square Severance Life Lease Registration Removal is what we're talking about in the letter that everybody, or not some people got. And I want to go through quickly just a refresher on what our vision is for the new development portion of the community. And just to make you understand, nothing has changed since the last time and the many, many times that we've presented this. I heard there's rumors that we sold it. We did not. It's still me. I'm still here, whether you like it or not. And our plan and the vision is still the same. All right. So just a reminder, and maybe a little bit on me. We've had new people come in who maybe haven't been able to see this, especially over COVID. And I apologize if we haven't maybe kept up to date as much as we had prior to COVID, and we'd like to continue getting back to where we were before COVID. So could I get the next slide, please? All right, so this, I think most of you should have seen this. Here's our village, here's the garden homes, right? This is what we call the clusters, which is the corner of Rymel Road and Garth. And if you recall, those of you who have been here more than 7 or 8 years, we had flipped these. Originally, we wanted Town Square to be here and the residential portion here. City did not allow it because of traffic studies, so we had to swap it. It was already they would not give us another light, so we traffic light, so we swapped it. And that happened maybe about 4 or 5 years, maybe 5 years ago. That when we first went to the city, believe it or not, it's been 8 years since we first went to the city on this. And that's what it takes to get a new development, which is crazy. But we are making some progress, thankfully. So this is now what we call the clusters. It's all residential. There's some parkland. There's going to be some amenities in there and so on. This street will be new. The presentation center will go down. That's not going to be there anymore. We're replacing that commercial in Town Square. So that's the idea, right? So the Town Square, what we call Town Square lands, is really all of this 10 acres, right? And that is Cardinal Manzetti and Rymel Road on the north side. The commercial component, commercial retail, essentially replaces what we already have at the presentation center plus. So we'd like it to be more programmed. It's developed like a square, so we have activities happening over there all the time. Anybody who knows the villages in Florida, that's what they've done, and themed and the whole bit. We're doing the same kind of thing here to a smaller scale. but the same kind of concept. So that's our gathering space, our public gathering space. It's not just our space like the rest here, which will still be gated. This is public space that will be used by us and by the general public as well. Our plans in there are to have it mixed residential and commercial retail. So the doctor's offices, we're already talking, we've got 2 banks interested in coming in. We lost our bank, unfortunately, to try to get them back. Their problem was nobody could find them in the presentation center. So, in the village center. So obviously then, there's exposure to Rhino, so we'll be able to attract good amenities for our community. Our plan is not to make it a strip mall. This is a program space with artisan type retailers and service providers. Medical, our offices will go in there. We will also have, I always say the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. That's kind of back to that kind of feeling, the small town feel with the specialty type providers. We also want a grocery store. A lot of this came out of discussions we had with our community here in terms of what people wanted to see in there. And that's how we ended up with this. We didn't just kind of poof all this out of the air. This was all built, especially Town Square, to make it a really kind of a super amenity for our community. And if we do it right, you don't need to leave our community. You should be able to do your groceries, you should be able to go for a coffee, do whatever you want within our village. That's our goal. You can go anywhere you want, but if you want to stay in the village and ride your golf cart there, you can, right? And that's the concept. And that has not changed. It's been that from the beginning. And what I must tell you, all of this is our conceptual and our vision. We still have to get the city to agree to the way we've done this, the density, the amount of square footage of commercial retail and so on. So we have submitted for it, but it's taken a long time to get through the machinations of the city of Hamilton. Also should mention on Town Square, so this Town Square is essentially an area where I plan to do a lot of our events and programming, that and the kind of the parking lot areas where we can have our festivals and things like that. To replace kind of what we do in the broader parking lot and in the field. So we do not want to lose the ability to do that, and that's what we're going to use that's how we're designing that space to work. It also works, so it works for events. It should work for events, that's what we want it to do, and we also want it to work for every day. So if I feel like going for a coffee, I take a walk up there, I go to the coffee shop, I can get a donut, I can get my groceries and walk back to my place. That's the convenience that we would like to set up for our community here. We also had designed in, and we will be designing in, because it's hard we can't really put anything concrete in, but more amenity space. And I did hear one of the rumors out there is that, or one of the concerns is that all this new development's coming in and they're gonna feel, no, we won't be able to go in the pool, we won't be able to use our amenities, but no, we will make sure that, when the pool's use gets to the point where it's overcrowded, we will be adding another pool somewhere else within the development. And that goes for the amenity space, gathering halls, rooms for all our events and stuff like that. Pardon me? Oh. Yes. Well, if you guys want, you call your counselor and tell them to hurry up and kick them in the butt, because we would have built this 5 years ago if they'd have given us permission. But unfortunately, as we said, we're grinding through it. And then this portion, so the south portion, what we call Town Square lands, just for the sake of coming up with a name. Town Square is really the top north part of those lands. And that's where that commercial residential component is, a grocery store, the parking and so on to handle all the retail. The south part, it really is going to fit in with our community. And so Cardinal Manzetti, these are just going to be garden homes and more garden homes. So we create a buffer, and then these might be kind of a mid-rise, kind of like a upper mill pond, maybe even a little smaller, that type of residential, so that we get a nice buffer into our garden home areas. And so that's the vision. Where we are today, finally, we got severance on one parcel. I can't believe I'd be even celebrating that 10 years later. But so the severance comes along here and severs out these lands. The reason we needed to sever it is because you can't finance So right now, the property, prior to this, the property is one big parcel, one pin, or a set of pins. Tyler, you can correct me if I'm wrong on, I don't know the legal stuff, but it's one piece of property. So we cannot finance, we can't put financing, say, on Town Square, which is gonna be very expensive, and we're not gonna do, it's impossible to do without the bank, that they can't put a mortgage on the broader property or on a specific portion of that property. So the severance was really critical for us to be able to move forward and be able to finance the development of this property. And that's what brings us to where we are today. Next slide, please. Oh, here's some massing. I think you've all seen this. This was in a presentation that we did, actually, I think it's almost like three years ago or so, 3.5 years ago. If anybody hasn't seen it, is it still on our website? If it isn't, Julia? Is it on our website? No. So, I mean, we can put it back up. It's actually a long presentation, much longer than what I'm talking, much more detail. That's also narrated, and we had put it out because I think it was during COVID and we couldn't get together. So it was done based on a video. So this is just excerpts taken from that. Kind of gives you an idea of what it might look like. So the parks that we're going to create, the clusters, kind of the more high-rise stuff that's out on the corner of Garth and Rhinewell Road, really no different than what's already across the street. And then everything kind of tapers down to where our garden homes are, where we're not planning on touching anything. So next slide, please. So actually, if you do want a copy of that, just ask Resident Services. They'd be happy to send you a link to it. And if we find a lot of people are asking, maybe we'll put it back up on the website. Just go look at it. It's public information. There's no secrets here. Okay, so your life. So the legal letter that you got and the letter before that from us deals with this. We have the severance here, and we had gotten this severance, I think, back in 2020 for where the presentation center is. When you get your life lease, sometimes, you don't have to, but some people, I think, it might be maybe 50% of the village, something like that, register their leases on title, right? And what that means is it kind of, I guess it protects you. I mean, Tyler can talk about it. I'll introduce Tyler after. I won't get into the legal, actually. You register, and I'll let Tyler deal with that so I don't screw up the actual legal lease. But you register on title. That registration is on all the land. So when we sever it, it goes with the severed land. So now we would have all your registrations also on this new parcel, and they also exist on this parcel. They also exist on the Upper Mill Pond parcel, which was also severed. It's not shown on here. We're leaving that. That's why it's not red. So your registrations will stay on the Upper Mill Pond lands as well. So where the Trillium and Upper Mill Pond and the Health Club are. We're done developing it, so it really we don't need to do anything with those registrations. What we need to do is what this letter deals with is removing all the registrations, so the active ones and the inactive ones. So people left here and never took the registrations off. They're still on there. So we're removing those as well as the ones that are currently here who has their life lease registered. We are looking to remove them from the presentation lands and from the Town Square lands. And but what remains is your registration of your life lease stays on all the garden home lands. So anything that's not colored is your registration stays. So where your garden home is where you want it. Your registration continues to be on that property. So nothing changes. It's like I say, I won't get into the legal. I'll let Tyler. We brought a lawyer here to talk about the legal aspects of it. But that's all we're trying to do. I know it looks scary. Unfortunately, I thought there was going to be an easier way to do it, but I mean, I looked at that legal package and I got scared. So I don't blame you. It's so much legalese. That's why we tried to we sent out the letter before to try to put it in kind of plain English as to what was going on. And then when you got it, that legal letter, that it wouldn't have been as scary. But I guess I didn't do a very good job at that. I think we can go to the next slide now. All right. So yes, acreages, the town square lands are roughly 10 acres. The property is 114 acres, so get a sense of what we're doing here. It's a very small piece of the larger parcel. I think the presentation lands, which I should have put up here, are around 2 acres. So your registration will continue to be on the large portions, the 100 acres plus where your garden homes and where Upper Mill Pond and the Trillium are currently sitting. So next step prior to new construction, you think, well, good news, you got your severance, yay, where's the shovels? Well, no. What we have to do now is get zoning with the city, that's the next step. Who knows how long that's gonna take? It could take a year, could be sooner, I'm not sure. And then we have to go through site plan. So site plan is essentially the vision that we have. We've submitted it to the city. They're gonna go back and forth as to what they don't like. We do the traffic studies, we do the pond studies. We've done probably, I think we've spent $3 or $4 million in reports. That's studies and reports, the ponds, the traffic studies. Rob would be better at listing them all. He knows all the details, but suffice to say, there's a lot of work that gets done prior to ever putting a shovel in the ground. We still have a lot of work to do. I wish I was telling you that we're starting to dig tomorrow, because I would really love to do that, but that's just not the case. There's also one other item. I don't know if you follow what's been happening in the community, but the sanitary sewer in our area is at capacity. So they've let, I forget what it is, again, Rob would be better, $100 million project to upgrade the sanitary trunk. There's a huge project going on right now. So the city came out and said, okay, because of that, no new residential allocations until it's upgraded. And I think it's industrial is first, and Tyler, maybe you know the order, I can't remember, but residential's at the bottom, that's what I remember. And I think commercial's second last. I think it's industrial is first, is what they're saving the sewer allocations for job-related developments. That project is supposed to be done by 2026. So at a minimum, I don't think we're gonna see any shovels in the ground for Town Square until after that. They just won't give us our allocation for that. What we might get, what we're trying to get, is some townhomes built along Cardinal Vincenti prior to that, because that land, it was actually serviced, if you recall. There's roads built before we got here for more garden homes originally. And so we did have an allocation of, I think, 40 units still, and we're hoping that they'll at least let us have that so we can build some new garden homes and start to kind of create a buffer between when we finally get into the large construction with Town Square. So those are the kind of things, the hurdles we still have to get over before you'll see any machines out there digging holes. Now, why do we need those life leases? I talked about the fact that we really can't move forward until we can get financing in place, and that's why we need to remove those registrations. The banks don't like to see those on there because they're unrelated to anything on that land. So they just don't, they want them gone. It doesn't really bother, I could care less if they were on there, but it's really them. Tyler will speak to this later, but no action on your part is required unless you have an issue, and then you can come see us or and talk about it. It does not affect your life lease in any way, or your ownership and your ability to live in your unit and use the amenities and all that other stuff. Zero impact on any of that. And it'd be, some of the rumors are kind of make me laugh. Why would I do that? So this is also, first of all, it's the right thing to do. Make sure that our community continues to thrive. It's a great community. It's also a good business thing to do. Why would I do something that screws up the community? I have more sales to do, and if anything, we have to enhance it, right, in order to sell more and bring more of our new neighbors and family into the community. So, it doesn't make sense, but the rumors tend to kind of veer off and go to the worst case scenario. I can tell you, while I'm here, and I think most people who know me, when I say something, my word is my word. And it will not affect you, and we will make this place better and better as we continue to develop and create more value in the community that allows us to give back to the community. Like redoing this Trillium, which is part of this, and that plan is in place. We've had to kind of put it on the back burner for a bit, but it's back on the, I'm happy to say it's back on the front burner, and we'll be communicating with your representatives as well as with the broader community as we come back, get that online, because it will impact our ability to use the amenity as well. So there's a lot of complications. If you're gonna renovate this, you can't use it while we're renovating it. So we are working through it, and your committees and your representatives have done a great job at helping us design an amazing space. Like this, when we finally kind of let it out in the public, so to speak, I think you'll be very happy with the space. It's gonna be much nicer, much better suited to our uses, and very flexible, so we can use rooms in a different way that's kind of more directly specific to the activity that you're doing. So including things that we do in the barn will be done in here, like pickleball and all those things. We'll have the space, because we get to recover all the space of the pool and now add that to our amenity space. So it pretty much doubles our this amenity. Yeah.
Same footprint though.
It's the same footprint. We're not building onto the side. The original plans, it's a very good point, thank you. Original plan was to take this down. The problem with taking it down is then with more construction going on in the middle of the community, which, going through Upper Mill Pond, these ideas are great on paper, but they do impact the neighbors, and I did feel for the immediate neighbors. So when we saw that, how Upper Mill Pond went, and yes, it's there, it's beautiful, I'm very happy with that development. We have some great new neighbors now in Upper Mill Pond. It was very disruptive to the community, and it was something that I really kind of got a sense for. Oh, I'm getting in trouble here, so. I took her cane away, the cane that dragged me off the stage. I'm at the last part here, Lynn, I promise. So the Trillium you're gonna see coming soon, and I'm gonna introduce Tyler Banham, who probably many of you know. Is that my phone? Oh. It only rings for my family members, so I just hung up on my son. So I'm going to introduce Tyler. I think a lot of you use him. He provides the independent legal advice for when purchasers or new residents are coming into the community. And we've asked him if he would provide independent legal advice to anybody in the community at no cost to you. So we're covering that cost. And he is independent. I'd like him to say a few words, and then we'll take some quick questions and answers before Lynn pulls me off with her hook.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, everybody. Tyler Banham. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces. And it was funny to hear that you purchased this 10 years ago, because I was telling my wife, I started doing life lease reviews in 2014. I can't believe that's 10 years ago. And so since then, I've gotten to know many of you. I grew up on the mountain, but I literally grew up on Garth between Stone Church and Rymal in the early 80s. So I remember St. Elizabeth Villa, because on the mountain there was just basically some houses, Limerich Mall, farmland, and St. Elizabeth Villa. And so I've enjoyed watching, I still live on the mountain, I live on Stone Church and Upper Sherman. Now, and watching it grow up and develop is a passion. Bit about me quickly, because I don't want to get the hook, I don't want the cane. I've been a lawyer for 18 years. I used to sue people for a living. Do people's divorces, custody cases, but I always did real estate law. My wife said to me as I got older, she goes, "What makes you happy?" I said, not doing the custody cases or keeping people out of jail. That's not fun, but giving people keys or money is really fun. And it gets you through a stressful part of your life too, because moving is. So about 7 years ago, my wife and I started Hometown Law, which is on Upper Wentworth and Mohawk, and all we do is real estate law and wills and estates. So we do happy areas of law. I'm also a son of a therapist, and I always say the 3 most stressful things you can go through in life: get married, have kids, and move. And moving usually jumps to the top. So in terms of, I was talking to Tony the other day. I started getting notes from some of my past clients about this development. So I started asking some questions. So I knew about the long-term planning, and we got talking. And I said, I'd be happy to give independent legal advice to anybody who has questions about this. I don't work for Zest. My wife and I run our own law firm, we're independent, but so you might feel more comfortable getting advice outside the circle. Just quickly, actually, if you could go back to the previous slide, I thought Tony did a good job about this. I'm gonna be a bit of a legal nerd for a moment. So when you get a severance, so your life lease is unique in Ontario in that you have a registered interest at the land registry office. So when you own your house, you own a deed. I always tell you, my grandmother, she's 97. She had her deed framed in her kitchen. It was a Gothic lettering, a scroll, and very cool stuff. Now it's very boring. In my law office, when you complete your life lease, we send that to you, and it's very boring. So we know street addresses from what we see on the streets, street signs. But the land registry office doesn't really care about the street sign. They know it as a PIN, and a PIN stands for property index number. So with your life lease, the reason why it's unique, there's life leases all over Ontario. They've become really popular. In those life lease communities, most of them, they don't register their ownership at the land registry office. They're still protected, they have a legal ownership in the land, but nothing's registered. So that makes it susceptible to all sorts of issues, which I won't go down that rabbit hole. I actually had a life lease village in Niagara reach out to me saying they've been around for 20 years. They now have voted to register their life lease ownerships at the land registry office. They've never done that. And he said they searched far and wide just to find a lawyer who knew how to do it. I know how to do it. So we're actually in the process of registering their ownerships. They already paid for it 10, 20 years ago. We're registering. All my clients that I've acted for, and everyone here, you have a registered ownership at the land registry office. But the way they did the PIN is the property index number is this whole area. But the problem is, you may be here, but you don't own that property there. But your registration's on title for this whole area. So you're not losing your registered interest at the land registry office, but they're cutting out those two red zones out of it. It doesn't diminish your property value. It doesn't, keep your houses looking nice because that's what will diminish your property value. But it is allowing the financing for the construction of this to be based on these lands rather than your home. Because that would affect your property value. If there was a mortgage for $40 million, I don't know how much the project costs, so I'm putting numbers in your head. But I had a client up north a couple weeks ago. She went to do a new mortgage. And a couple years ago, they agreed to sign a lease with Bell so they could build a tower, right? So we went to do the refinance, and I looked on title and I went, Bell has a registered lease of $40 million, that's where I got it from, $40 million on the title of their house. The lender saw that. They're like, we're not doing a mortgage on there. I reached out to the lender, First Ontario. I said, no, it doesn't affect them. It was just to build a pole. I wasn't involved with this thing, but then Bell, they just listened to their lawyers, they didn't have their own independent legal advice. I said, it doesn't affect it in any way, but it spooked this lender. They wouldn't give these poor people their mortgage. Now, what we did is we found a lender who understood this, TD, and they did the mortgage, and they were fine. We completed it last week. Can you imagine the anxiety that creates when you're like, wait a minute, someone has a $40 million registration on the title of my home? So that's why, just to explain it in English, the legal concept, that's why we want to, these were severed, so the financing is based on these areas, not on anywhere remotely on your garden homes or the upper mill pond. So that's essentially how it is. So that's to explain how a severance works. In terms of going forward, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to give my contact information is widely available. My law firm is called Hometown Law. You go to hometownlaw.ca. That's my website. You can get my contact information. If you ever want to email me, my email is Tyler, Tyler, @hometownlaw.ca. And as many of you know who I've acted for, I don't have palace guards in front of me. You email me, it comes to me. I have great receptionists, junior lawyers, law clerks, but I never want palace guards in front of me. I'm a first generation lawyer, son of immigrants. And I always say to my folks, I say, I want people to access me. If you have any questions, just email me. I had one this morning. I had two just recently. But I wanted to learn more about the project first myself so I could get proper legal advice, but I'm happy to do that. The only one thing, I did get an email this morning, can I come see one of the residents on Saturday? I was a divorce lawyer for 7 years. You learn how to stay married. by not leaving your wife and kids on a Saturday. So during the week, I'm all yours, but you learn what not to do as a husband by doing that stuff. So that's basically a bit in general. If you want to reach out to me afterwards, Tyler at hometownlaw.ca. If you don't have it, ask Jennifer Thompson, David Hood, Brianne. They'll all know this. Initially, I joked with Mr. Hood. I said, I'll just send everyone your way because you now got elected to something and that. But I'm happy to help out. Okay. Any questions for right now, or yeah? Maybe, do we have time for one?
One.
One. Okay. You're the lucky one.
Concerning the insurance on the house.
Yep.
And whatever it is, and they put it down as a condo. I said, well, do you own it? He said, no, it's a life lease. They don't know what a life lease is.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, is it work out more expensive if they put it as a condo? Because it's not really a condo, it's a house.
So I get these a lot. I get tax questions and insurance questions, and I'm a lawyer, but I do know the answer to this. So first thing, if you bought here, you know two things. If you got financing to buy here, you know most banks, I don't know what a life lease is, so RBC will give a mortgage. They understand it. There's Matthew Vezza, who's very smart in this community, knows how to do these. Insurance is the bane of my existence sometimes as a lawyer, because not just at the life lease, but other developments, it doesn't have to be as complicated as it's made. Michael Ashby, I think, is really good at getting insurance for people here. Other people, it's like landing a spaceship on Mars. It's really rocky to get that insurance, and you won't be able to get your keys without that insurance. Your insurance won't go up. This won't affect it in any way. How they classify it, that's between you and your insurance broker. Maybe they classify as a condo. I would argue your insurance would be less if it's listed as a condo, because less liability, right? But insurance, I had a lady the other day told me I'd do my new car insurance. She said it was gonna go up $1,000 per car, and we live 40 seconds from our office. We drive through the Lime Ridge Mall parking lot to get to our office. So we called another insurance broker, and we saved $300 per car. So I'm not an insurance broker, but that's where you shop around. I would argue it wouldn't increase it, so.
Because they'll ask, do I pay rent?
Yeah.
I says, well,
You don't.
I have the can.
Yep.
So I don't know if to classify that as rent.
Yeah, definitely not. Like if you live in a condo, you pay a common elements fee. They call it a condo fee. You have the CAM here, in fact, adding more residents, I think, is actually going to reduce your occupancy charges. I hope I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but just the numbers, I know how that works. But no, that's not a condo. You're not a tenant. Actually, if you ever look at a deed, it says your ownership is a joint tenant or tenant in common. When I send the deed out, I'll sometimes get the odd nasty phone call going, Tyler, I own this place. How could you register me as a tenant? I'm like, no, it's the legal terminology. It's the legal nerd word for it. Joint tenants, tenants in common. So with your life lease, we do the same. If you're married, joint tenancy, one of you pass on, title vests to the surviving spouse. Tenants in common, a lot of times you buy an investment property with a business partner, it's tenants in common. And I've gotten the hook, and I don't want the cane. So email me if you need anything, folks, and good to see everybody again.